Good afternoon, and thank you for attending this workshop. It is a marketing workshop called Online Presence, The Basics. Our host today is Erica Hawley with Vivial. And Erica, I'm going to kick it over to you now.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for joining today. I am going to do a screen share. I've got a lot of slides for you, but I definitely want to encourage you, if you have questions while we're going through this, please unmute yourself, ask me a question. We have a small enough group that we can really dig in and kind of get into the weeds in some areas and maybe help solve some problems that you guys have. But just listening to the types of businesses that you have, I am really excited because I, first of all, used to run a professional photography studio. So I'm familiar with sales and marketing for them. I'm personally an artist. I used to have my own website for selling my own handcrafts. I work a lot with Etsy as well. And I have a couple clients that are artists that just do e-commerce. But in my day job now, basically, I work a lot with other business owners. So I work a lot in the B2B realm on the marketing standpoint. And today we're going to go over a lot of different details, a lot of different ways that you can get your business out there. But at the end of this, I'd really love to encourage you to maybe even reach out to me outside of this so that we can sit down and have a one-on-one and target your specific goals, because this again is going to be very broad, very high level, and there's going to be so many different ways for each of you to leverage these different tools. But just go ahead.
Okay.
Was there a question?
How can we get a hold of you?
I'll send all of that information through the chat, and she will also follow up with an email once the video is up on YouTube, and then you'll have all of the slides as well. So you can access that later along with my contact information. Thank you. All right, so I am a senior marketing consultant. Like I said, I have a pretty diverse background. My degree is graphic design, web design, and I've been doing social media and marketing for as long as I can remember. Let's just say 10 years in social, but 20 years in marketing. And what that's done is it's allowed me to meet with a lot of different businesses, work with a lot of different industries, and really kind of hone my own personal craft. I work for a company called Vivial, and Vivial is a full service digital marketing agency. We have 20 offices across the United States. So with them, I have dedicated teams of search engine optimization gurus, social media gurus, Google AdWords gurus, web development gurus, everything in between. So I am constantly learning alongside them and able to share that information in this type of format with you guys. So for today's agenda, this looks pretty brief, but it's actually going to be very, very detailed. I'm going to go over what a basic online presence is, whether you're just starting your business as an individual, an entrepreneur, solopreneur, or your business that's been around for years. There are a lot of different areas online that your business can be represented, and we'll talk about what each of those are and how it will benefit you and your business. We'll get into some website stuff. I know there were questions on the WordPress. I am a guru at WordPress. I love working with WordPress, so we'll get into that. We'll talk a little bit about search engine optimization, and then we'll really dive into the social platforms, which is where the bulk of you guys will find a lot of great success opportunities. So when it comes to an online presence, there are a lot of different ways to get started, but this is basically a rough outline for where every business should have an online presence. First, a business needs a website. Your website's going to be your 24/7 unpaid employee that's able to answer questions for you when you're not around. It's going to be there as people are searching, and you want to be able to make sure that it can be found. Google My Business is a very, very important function for every single business out there. It's a free tool. We'll get into how to set that up and the perks to that. We'll talk a little bit about your local online directories and how those can benefit you, search engine optimization, and then the top 5 social platforms. There are, of course, many, many more. There's a lot more that I really enjoy too that aren't on here. So if you have questions, we can definitely dive into those as well. But again, just to kind of start at the top, creating a website for your business. You guys may already have websites. If you don't, That's totally fine as well. But I do recommend a couple of different ways to get started. There are some beginners DIY websites. If you don't have a big budget and you want to be able to build it yourself, using something like Wix or Squarespace, it's pretty easy. They're actually pretty good websites. They're templated, they're clean, and the average internet user can get in there and put something together. If you are comfortable getting a little bit more advanced, the DIY capabilities from WordPress are really going to help you expand into a lot of different options, because WordPress has so many different pre-built functionalities and tools like plugins that can automatically plug into your business website, making it really easy for you. And then the next type of website would be an advanced, fully custom website. So this would be something where, an example is, I work with a client that has custom jetted bathtubs. So we built a really high-end, fully custom e-commerce website where you could customize a bathtub within a bathroom. That's going to be something that you really probably wouldn't do in something like WordPress, definitely not in Wix or Squarespace. For your websites, once it's built, you obviously need hosting. Again, beginners options. GoDaddy is great. They've got wonderful customer service. HostGator, Bluehost as well. There's a lot of options out there for you. I'm not affiliated with any of these, but I chose these because I think that they're great for the average DIY beginner. You can also have fully custom hosting. And the reason that you might want to do that is so that people can, or, the professionals will be able to help you ensure that you've got an SSL and you have good page speed. An SSL is a security certificate, basically, that gets put on. Google looks for it. Now some consumers are trained to look for that as well. But those are really only necessary in situations where you are collecting or taking information from your users. All right, so when you have your website built, just to make sure that you are getting the most out of it, again, it's your 24/7 unpaid employee, you want to make sure that you have the tools, the free tools that you can use on the back end, like Google Analytics. Google Analytics is going to tell you where people are going on your website, how they're getting to your website, what they're doing, how long they're spending. And this type of data can really help you over time fine-tune your website and make sure that it's really meeting the needs of your business and answering the frequently asked questions that your customers might have. The basics for the websites, just making sure, just really high level, that you've got your information out there. You're going to want to obviously include any products or services that you have. You'll want your address or service radius visible in most cases. People very often go to websites just to grab a phone number, to grab a contact, to grab an email, to look for social media, or they're going to be digging in a little bit more. But you want to have the very, very basic content out there so that people can find you if they're used to going to websites to look for businesses.
What are chatbots?
Chatbots are tools that you can plug into your website that once somebody lands on a specific page, or if they've been there for a while and haven't engaged much, or if there's moving around, you can immediately engage with the chat bot. So it's a little pop-up and asks a question. Is there something we can help you find? And then there's interactive ways, to make sure that your client is getting a response. There's also chat tools where you can be the live person on the other end doing it. The bots are just the automated version of that. It's a little bit more advanced too. Just some really high level best practices. People, again, users out there on the internet, we're trained to look for things in specific areas. So in most situations, the name of the business, the contact information, phone numbers, hours of operation, ways to get in touch with them really need to be probably at the top and the bottom of every single page. You want to make sure that you can be found and that people are navigating your site quickly without getting frustrated. A frustrated website user is going to leave your page and maybe even not do business with you. So there's a lot of reasons that you want to simplify it and make it as easy as possible. The other thing that's really, really important out there, especially now, and I'm sure you can definitely understand this, is having a website that's mobile friendly. You will know that your website is mobile friendly if you look at it on your device and everything is normally sized. You don't have to scroll in, pinch the screen and zoom in at all. It's not, really large pictures. They all shrink down so that it makes it easy to view. WordPress is actually a great website builder for that. I know Wix and Squarespace automatically have mobile friendly options as well. But otherwise, it might take a little bit of effort to get into your website and make it mobile friendly. And most of that just means making sure that it knows how to change the format, the layout, the images based on the device that you're using, because most consumers out there are going to be using mobile devices. And we see about 60 to 70% of mobile traffic on most websites, depending on the industry. So with more than half of the people out there using mobile devices, it's really important that your website is mobile friendly. All right, Google My Business is probably one of my favorite tools out there. And it's, first of all, completely free. You can go out as an individual and create a Google My Business profile for your company to include all of your business information. This is a place where you can get ratings and reviews. You can post updates, you can share blogs, special events, you can do offers. And then it gives you a lot of additional information and gives consumers a lot of opportunity to engage with you. So when you set up your Google My Business, there's a couple different ways to do it. You can set it up as either a brick and mortar location where you've got a physical address and you want people to be walking in your door. That address will appear in the maps when they're searching for you. And the only way to appear in the Google Maps area is to have a Google My Business profile. The more optimized it is and the more correctly claimed it is with all the information plugged into each of the little spots where it's necessary, the more likely you are to show up. So this is a great tool to get really familiar with, because there are so many different pieces to it that will help you get found online in those basic Google searches, both especially by your business name, but also start to be found by your keywords as well. So whenever you're searching for a business, this is what the Google My Business profile looks like on a website search engine results page. And then this over here is a sample of the data that you can collect on the back end, knowing that you can see where clients are finding you. Are they coming to you by typing in your name, your business name? Those are direct searches. Or are you being discovered organically? Those are ways that you're getting found by your keyword. Just knowing this can really help you kind of understand what your consumers are looking for and how they're engaging and how you can better optimize it for the future. Does anybody have any questions about Google My Business before we go on? Because this really is a very, very important tool.
I have a question, Erica.
Yes.
What are some mistakes people make that kind of cost them being found on setting up, or stuff they leave out that maybe they shouldn't?
Well, when it comes to Google My Business, they make it really easy to plug in all of the most important information. So my recommendation is just complete your profile. It'll tell you how completed it is, or if you have, 80% complete, if you have 100% complete, that's great. That's where you want to be. And that really is just plugging in details where it asks for it. So it is going to be all of your business information, including the hours that you're open, any of your locations, any of your service areas. I use this example because 360 Painting of Arvada is obviously not a brick and mortar. They go out to other businesses, but we have a whole service area that they have here. So we plugged in all of the different city areas that she wanted to do business in, and now she can be found in those areas. So if you're not putting information into there, whether it's your business description, that's really important. That's very keyword heavy. People are going to want to see that. That's something that people leave out. That's a real easy fix to make sure that you can get found. But I want you to think of it as the more details that you put into your Google My Business profile, the more Google knows about you, so the more consumers can find you, right? So it's kind of just an A to Z checklist.
So you were saying there's two ways to set up. One is that as a brick and mortar location, and then 360 is got it set up. What do you call that? The way they have
service radius, or location based.
Location based.
So in a situation like my business, I don't have a brick and mortar. I'm working from my home right here. We've got offices all across the country, but I could set up my profile so that it would say that I service Denver, Arvada, all of anything in Jeffco if I wanted to. I could write Aurora in there and it would really expand that service radius. But what that does is that helps consumers, especially if they're sitting in Aurora and they're looking for marketing services. I want to be able to appear for that. If I don't have Aurora in those locations, then I'm much less likely to appear when they're searching for that. Patricia, do you have a question?
Yes, thanks, Erica. I have set up the galleries for clients on my SmugMug account, brand new thing for me. And all I did really was put the galleries on the homepage. And I didn't realize that I had to set the privacy settings for each gallery. So I got all the galleries in there and I looked in there and, I did it all in one day. There were 8,000 hits. I'm going, who is looking at me? And so I went through and changed, because this is only for the client, right? The site isn't live yet.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
What is this about? Is it a bot or is someone really that interested in my beginning account?
So when you upload your business images into Google My Business, the profile itself is about 65% more likely to get clicks and views. It just looks better. It looks more optimized. People want to look through photos. So tell me, are they finding your Google My Business page?
Actually, it's not a Google My Business, but it does have to do with it. It's on SmugMug, which is a photography website. And I just wonder, I checked I just by chance checked the analytics because I'm still learning that platform, that beginner platform. There were more than 8,000 hits in a day. Who is looking at me?
Well, SmugMug is completely international. I mean, it's everywhere, right? There's thousands and thousands of users. There's thousands of photographers that upload their stuff on there. And the way that they use that is kind of, some of them might even have stock photography that they can download for free. So if you have images out there and you've uploaded any type of keywords associated with them, then they're searching by those keywords, looking for images that are relevant to that. So if you don't make that gallery private, then what happens is anybody in the whole world that's searching for those keywords within SmugMug is going to be able to see your stuff.
Right.
That's where that's coming from.
That was just scary to me because I think I had the watermarks on, but I'm not sure. Anyway, that just has to do with the privacy. So that's one thing that has scared me from even putting my photography up because, it's just so easily stolen.
Understood. Absolutely. And that's the thing about the internet. I mean, it's a pretty open domain where you can go out and find images of things that you want. For you, I definitely think that you want to find a way to watermark it and be comfortable sharing those images because that's how you're going to sell more. You have the perfect service because your product is your service, right? And you can demonstrate your skills with every photo that you're adding there. My recommendation is to absolutely add your watermark and upload those images to your Google My Business, the ones that you want to share. And maybe people will screenshot them, maybe people will download them. It's kind of flattering that they like your work enough to do so, and hopefully they won't, recreate it unethically at all. But it is very, very helpful for you to have that out there. But be selective, choose the best of the best, choose different categories. I love the idea that you are people, ponies, and puppies. That's great. So
thanks.
I happen to have 2 puppies that look like ponies. I know Stefan's actually seen them before on Zoom. I have 2 Great Danes.
Puppies, or show us pictures.
Yeah, I've got 2 Great Danes actually.
Lovely.
One of them is usually in here in the office with me, but she's across the hall right now.
She's a little tired now. It's her nap time.
She's gazing out the window. It's nice. I'm very quiet. I'm very thankful, but yeah. So Google My Business, again, it's a free tool. You can go out there, you can claim your profile. They mail a postcard to you. It's a whole process. But the more information that you're putting into your Google My Business profile, and the more regularly you're updating it with new images or even additional blog posts, events, deals, if you have a special offer that you're running, put that on Google My Business, because every time you're putting your keywords and your services and your products into Google, It just opens the opportunity for more people to find you. And then when you get into the metrics in the back end, you can watch the traffic and see just how many people are finding you in generic searches or by name. So it becomes really valuable. But it's a super handy tool. If you have any problems or if you want help setting that up, I can definitely help with that as well. So we can talk about that offline later too.
Great, thanks.
Okay, next on the list is local online directories. And these are pretty simple. These are essentially digital phone books. They're not websites that you or I would probably ever go to. It's stuff like, you know, Foursquare or oops, I hit the button twice, or MapQuest or yellowpages.com, smartpages.com, whitepages.com. Again, they're your virtual phone books. So the reason that these are so important to you and your business is because when we go out and plug your information into all of these local online directories, your business name, your business service radius or your address for a brick and mortar, your phone number, your contact information, and a keyword rich business description is sent out to 170 plus different hyperlocal websites. So what that does is that helps with your organic SEO. It helps you get found, especially by name when people are searching, and it'll help you get found by some of those keywords as well. One of the main ones that I think of is Yelp. If you've ever, looked for the best brunch near me, one of the top results is usually Yelp. That's a directory of businesses. So if your business is listed across these internet directories, Google validates you, sees that the accurate information out there is consistent across all the platforms. They will start sending more traffic to you over time.
And what are those again? Smart Pages, Yellow Pages?
There are hundreds of different local online directories. There are actually services that group all of them together so you can get all of them claimed and optimized at once. Otherwise, if you have a website and you wanted me to run an audit for you, it's totally free. It's really quick and easy for me to do. I can tell you what directories you're listed on and it'll give you the whole list of them. And you can technically go out to every single one individually and put your business information in there. I just think it takes a lot of time. And I think that it's more effective and affordable time-wise to just have a service do it.
And are they free or do you have to pay for it?
There's a couple of them that are free and there are some that are paid for. For example, Google My Business is technically a business directory, right? So plugging that in, totally free. Yahoo, free. Bing, Facebook, Foursquare, Yelp, MapQuest, Superpages, Dexknows. They are traditionally all free individually, but again, there's 170 plus, different directories. If you want to be in all of them, I recommend working with a service partner that can just monitor them for you regularly and kind of plug it all in for you, because it can take a lot of time. I actually went out and tried to do it for a business that I was working with. And just to do the top 5 probably took me 5 hours. So again, 170 plus, it's a time and effort thing. Okay, I've used this term a couple times already. I'm sure you guys probably know what it is. Search engine optimization, that's SEO. So search engine optimization is essentially how your website gets found in basic Google, Yahoo, Bing searches when people go out to their browser to do a search, when they're looking through those search engines, the keywords that they're typing in and the relevancy to your website, that's SEO. Most people know that on a search engine results page, the bottom group or the bottom listings, there's 10 spots there. Those are the organic listings. Those are the most popular places to be. That's where it's the most important. And the reason is that in order to be in those top 10 positions on the bottom of the search engine results page for Google especially, you have to have credibility. You have to have the keywords on your website. It has to be something that's relevant to your site. And over time, SEO is the practice essentially of getting keywords onto your website, creating backlinks, pointing to your website in so many ways that Google finally starts to see you as credible and makes you appear in more of those searches and more of those results. it's very, very keyword based. And when it comes to SEO, there's a lot of ways to do it, and there's a lot of companies out there that do it, but there are some things that you can do on your own too. First of all, again, just knowing your keywords and making sure that you're creating content for your website that's around your keywords. That's really, really important. Actually having your keywords on your website. I know it sounds kind of silly, but if you think about it, like a photography website is going to be primarily images, but you still need actual text, actual words that are not image-based for Google's crawlers to see. Because if you don't have those words and that text on your website, Google doesn't really know what you do, right? So everything that we're doing, whether it's Google My Business, search engine optimization, we're trying to get Google to understand what your website does so that it will put you into the algorithm for those searches. So SEO, very, very complicated long-term strategy that's keyword based. You can do it on your website. If you have a WordPress website, there's plugins like Yoast SEO, where you can go in and type your keywords and titles and meta descriptions and all the extra details about your images and your content and your posts out there so that Google, the search engine specifically, know what's on your website. The offsite SEO is creating content for your business where it's pointing back to your business. So in order to do offsite SEO, a company like Vivial, for example, we've got a lot of tools where we go and create backlinks on high ranking, high authority websites that Google knows and trusts. So an example, I work with a lot of general contractors, for example, and if we are creating content for general contractors, and I can get that blog post and their business information published to a blog site like homedepot.com, that's very, very relevant and credible. So Google will reward your website with a backlink. It's kind of like digital currency. The more high ranking, high authority backlinks that you can create using your keywords in your business on other websites, the more digital currency you have when it comes to Google. Now, those types of things don't matter a whole lot to the consumer. So we're playing both sides here. SEO is really the technical components to get Google to get the customers in front of you, where you then translate that into content marketing that's valuable and relevant to them.
What is, I don't quite understand the backlinks again. Do we put that somewhere, or how do we put backlinks? How do we do that?
So it is a little bit complicated. There are a lot of ways to do that. A company like Vivial is probably the best way to do that, or any SEO company. And that's because we have tools and existing relationships and systems that let us go out and say, here's the type of business we're looking for. We would like to get this blog post on these types of sites, and it's automatic. Otherwise, it would be kind of a manual process. You would have to reach out to the site administrator and say, I would like to have my blog post featured on your site. And then there would be an arrangement between you in that capacity, which is why I absolutely recommend working with a professional or an agency on SEO. I'm trained in it. You know, I've been Google certified and all these different things. It is a nightmare. There are so many different elements to it. It's so complicated. Creating those backlinks is a process, but it also takes a long time too. So the biggest thing with SEO is regular updates that are keyword based, technology based, content based, and making sure that you're as consistent as possible over a long period of time. Search engine optimization, SEO, getting in those top 10 positions on Google. In order to be number one, there's a pretty simple solution to that is content. It's the time, how long has the domain been out there, the relevancy, how people are engaging. I mean, there's a whole list of different things that contribute to it. But the most important to Google and your consumers that you can affect would be your keywords, content, and then creating backlinks.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Question.
Yes.
Erica, when a business optimizes SEO for Google, will that extend to other search engines? There are more and more that are being popular, the Yahoo and the
Absolutely.
Firefox and the DuckDuckGo, etc.
Yep, absolutely. Now, I mean, Google is the king. They're the biggest, they're the most dominant. So the others definitely try to fall into place with them. So following their best practices and guidelines will help, even if the other search engines have slightly different algorithms. You will absolutely get very different results on the different search engines if you're looking for the same exact thing. But the best practices are very much still the same. It's keyword, content, consistency, and it's long term. You know, I like to use analogies, right? So if we're thinking of your online presence as like, you know, your physical presence, SEO is the nutrition. It's the daily feeding of yourself, putting good content, high quality stuff in there, making sure that you're functioning, right, for the long term. So that's something that, again, it's a pretty complicated strategy, but it should be part of your business from the day that you start your website for the entire life of it, because you will always need to be putting that effort into your business. That's the one thing that you might always do. Now, you could do other strategies to pull leads in, to generate leads, but ultimately in an ideal world, in a perfect world, your website will have the right content that's relevant, that people are looking for, and Google has recognized you as authoritative, so they'll produce you as a result in the search engine results. But it's a long-term effort. You can't get there overnight.
Sorry, I don't understand.
Sorry, my Google, my robot slaves are a little invasive at times. Okay. Yeah. So social media. I don't necessarily consider Google My Business social media platform, but I think that it needs to be used as much as your social media platforms if you are going to have Google driving business to you. Your social media is definitely more of your passive marketing. So this is where people are out there engaging in their own worlds. They're doing what they want. They're browsing. They might be looking for something. They might be shopping for your product or service, but chances are they're not going to start by doing that on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. So that's why it's your passive marketing. It's really designed for brand awareness, for getting your name out there, for getting your image out there, your products and service, telling people what you do. So your social media is really intended to be truly, truly social. The most popular of platforms are currently Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. I also love TikTok, which is not on here, so we can talk about that if you want to, because it's become really, really popular during COVID, actually. But the reason that Facebook is the top is because it has the most users across the widest demographic range. And I love the data that Facebook/Instagram provides to make it so that you can specifically target your audience and get in front of them with the right message. So we'll dive into these a little bit individually. I know that you were looking for, Michelle, the different ages for each of the platforms. So this is going to be great for you to have these slides later, because this will show you for all the different platforms. Facebook tends to be 75% females. 75% of females use Facebook, 63% of males use Facebook. The age ranges, obviously you can see 13 to over 65, but the bulk is between that 18 and 50 age, right? So it's pretty broad, but again, there's a ton of data out there that we can leverage. When it comes to Facebook, you have your own personal profile because that's just you as an individual. But your business should have its own page too. Now, a business page is different from an individual page in that, number one, a business page will never have friends. If you have a business page and you are accepting friend requests or sending friend requests, then it's not set up correctly, and you probably won't get what you need out of it. The business page also offers a lot of other analytics and tools that you can use, but it's really specific for your business itself. Again, you have to have an individual login, and then you create a business page. On a business page, you can have a lot of different admins. So for example, I've run probably 40 different Facebook pages. And so I can access all of them in my Pages app, but I can also just see mine too, and there's no crossover. So just kind of, do all of you have Facebook? Do all of you actively use it? Is there anybody that doesn't use it? No? Okay. And the reason is when you're looking at, when I post on Facebook, where does that go, right? There's so many different ways. You can post in your timeline and it goes directly to your own page. And then it also goes to the whole feed of things. You can post on your business page timeline. You can post on stories. So there's so many different ways to do it. So if you want help trying to figure out and navigate what to post, where to post, how, when, that's something that I can definitely help with. But Facebook is fantastic because it offers you the ability to create content that's relevant to your target audience, publish it out there, and then use paid advertising to target who you want for that. You can do that with posts, you can do it with stories, you can do it with groups, but the paid advertising is fantastic because think of all the data that Facebook has. I have personally been on Facebook since 2006. So Facebook knows everywhere that I've ever gone with my mobile device. They know every business that I've ever engaged with on my mobile device, on my computer, on my iPad. They have so much data about me that somebody who goes in and builds a target audience that's trying to speak to somebody that's of my persona, they can get their ad in front of me, and the more relevant it is, the more likely I am to click and convert. So there's a lot of ways to use Facebook paid advertising as lead generation, as website traffic, to drive traffic, or just engagement to get people involved. Have any of you ever used paid advertising on Facebook before?
Mhm.
Dabbled with it?
Yes.
You have? What was your
I
experience with that?
wrote the ads for Merkle Inc. for a while for Samsung, but it was, one of the most convoluted processes I've ever done as a copywriter.
Oh
It-
yeah.
So, not sure. It was sort of like writing poetry with putting all the keywords in and,
Mhm.
making sure you're appealing to just the right persona, using their favorite words.
Yes.
I mean, it's really complex.
You're right. It's very, very niche. And the reason is, and think of yourself as a user on Facebook. When I'm out there on Facebook, I don't want to see anything that's political. I don't want to see anything that's sports related. That's not relevant to me. So if I see it, it's wasted by me. I also get annoyed and then I'll leave, or, I'll unlike, unfollow. Most people will do that. They'll just scroll right by it. However, if it's something that's relevant to me, if you were to show me something about the Cricut Maker right now, for example, I would immediately click on that. If there were art projects or photography, I mean, again, they know how to get in front of you. But as a business owner, you need to remember too, that as you're creating content, it definitely needs to be written for a social audience, which means shorter phrases, hashtags, even using the little emojis and stuff so that it's visibly appealing. But the most important thing is, number one, that it's relevant. Number two, that it's still social. You can talk about your business. You can talk about why you do it, how you do it, your services, your products, but people are out there to be social. So your social platforms should really be your personality. Again, using the analogy of like the human body, right? Your social media is your personality. It's what you do, why you do it, the type of tone and style, that all comes from you as a business or, a whole brand in itself. So Facebook is really, really important for brand awareness and making sure that, you can target the right types of people. An added benefit to it is that if you're out there publishing posts that include your keywords and services, that include those keywords like in the content itself, that also helps with your organic SEO. So it can come up in Google searches. Your Instagram posts or your Twitter posts, those can all appear in Google searches, even though they're social profiles. So the more relevant it is, the better it's going to be for everything. Any questions before we move on from Facebook?
No.
Okay. Again, this is really high level, and I literally teach hour-long classes on every single one of these platforms. So I can dive in and get into the weeds if you want to. Ask any questions that you have for sure. And we can also circle back if we need to. The next platform out there, one of my favorites, is Instagram. So Facebook is a place where you can post pretty much anything. It can be videos, it can be blog posts, it can be educational, informational. Your Instagram really should be purely aesthetic. So, Patricia, I imagine that your Instagram has amazing, beautiful, beautiful pictures. What people don't want to see on Instagram are, 20% off, like the image that has text on it. Stuff that's not pretty or attractive, stuff that's ugly or gross. People do not like that on Instagram. They will immediately unfollow. Yes.
I have an Instagram account. I have
Okay.
never populated it because I feel intimidated by all the great stuff I see curated out there. And I'm thinking, I don't have time for this to make it beautiful. All these people have someone like you to do it for them. So I don't even know where to start, basically. It would be great.
I mean, that is an entire consultative conversation for sure that I would love to have with you, because you can really create a strong strategy for your Instagram without being overwhelmed. I actually, I coach on how to create social media. And that means, setting up a schedule, identifying your target audience, figuring out what they want, what's relevant to them, and then keeping it as consistent within your brand as possible, whether it's colors, the grid, the style. I often do little calendar ideas, like here's what types of social media to post in January, right? That's one of the content pieces I'm working on now. So there are ways to simplify that, but it becomes a very disciplined process. And I'm more than happy to talk with you about that, but don't be intimidated, because Instagram is for everybody. And the best part about it is that it's hashtag based. So when you're working with hashtags, those are basically conversation topics. And your image, whatever you post on Instagram, that post itself can be assigned a category. So if somebody out there is following specific categories, then your stuff can appear in their feed, and that can help you grow your brand. I follow a ton of Denver artists. That's one of my favorite hashtags. I follow hashtag Denver artists. And so anytime anybody posts a photo in Instagram with hashtag Denver artist, I can see that in my feed, right? So people follow hashtags, and then they engage further with those hashtags too. So once I've followed hashtag Denver artist, Instagram suggests others that are similar. So I can grow and build my audience. I can, as a consumer, find more of the things that I like that are relevant to me. But as a business, you can go out and see what people in Denver are currently engaging with photographers or artists or authors. What people out there are currently engaging in a discussion about how to get pregnant, right? I mean, there's all these different things that you can be very specific topic oriented. And as long as it's relevant to that post and that image, then it makes sense to use that as a hashtag. So creating a solid hashtag strategy will help you get your photos on Instagram in front of your target audience. And that can be a lead generation tool. But again, it is definitely more of that brand awareness, that visibility, being out there as much as possible. But you can drive a lot of business for it, especially on the photography side. The other thing about both Instagram and Facebook is that having a mixed media is really helpful. So a combination of videos, posts, and stories, right? So some of them will be moving images as you're scrolling through, and people might stop and engage with that a little bit more. Some of it might be just a photo that they're engaging with. But the idea is that you want people to engage, so you need it to be relevant. On Instagram, it should be more aesthetic than anything else. For the age range here, it definitely, and really, again, looking at the numbers from COVID, I think that some of these stats have probably changed. I think we have a lot of new people on social media that have never been there before. There's a lot of people that were on Facebook that probably aren't there anymore. So all of this stuff is changing, but traditionally in the past, Instagram has been a little bit more of a younger audience because it is a little bit more technical in the hashtag following and looking for those. But it can also be really easy for a business to get out there and engage too. Any questions on this before I move on? Awesome. Okay. Next is Twitter. Twitter is great, also hashtag based. Again, lumping posts, whether it's videos, it can just be text, it can be images, into those hashtag topics or categories. People can follow and search those. I get notified anytime something is posted by Star Trek, right? That's kind of weird, but super, super niche. You can get very, very niche on these by using the right hashtag strategy. However, Twitter is a little bit more, not just for aesthetics, it's not just, blog posts, it's not super social, but it is more of like the news and event side. So if there's something that's really cool that's happening in your industry and you want to share it out there, that's great. It's also great for customer service. Bigger companies will absolutely leverage this as a customer service tool in a lot of different ways. For example, I recently purchased a couple of IKEA little pots for my plant collection that has just, tremendously grown during COVID, right? But half of them were broken when they arrived. So half of these ceramic pot holders that I had were broken. My first thought was to go out to Twitter to try and reach somebody. And so I posted like, hey, here's a picture of what happened. I tagged IKEA USA as a business in that post. And then somebody from customer service immediately responded to me within a couple of hours. So it can be used as a customer service tool. You just got to make sure that you're watching it and, monitoring that. This is a place where, again, anything that's trending, relevant, whether it's images, videos, this is kind of the catch-all. And one of the reasons that you would want to use it is because it definitely helps with your organic SEO. Twitter's been around for a long time. If you have a profile that has your business name and your business information in it, your website, and it's all linked up and accurate, people can find you in those Google, Yahoo, Bing searches again, by your content on any of these platforms. The other thing that it really lets you do that the others don't do as clearly is to kind of monitor your trends and competitors. So you can create lists. So I have a group of other marketing professionals that I follow because I want to see what they're doing out there that's different than me or that's similar to me. So I created a whole list of like 100 different marketing agencies, and anytime they post, I can go straight to that list and just look at all of the content that's relevant to that custom list that I built. So it's kind of like creating my own hashtag, but nobody sees that but me. So they don't know that I'm watching them. They don't know that I have them on a specific list. Unless I make that private, or public. But it just really helps to kind of follow some of those trends and watch what's happening in the news out there. It is also geared a little bit more towards an older demographic. There are definitely young people that use it, but it's just not as popular with the youngins like Instagram and TikTok are right now. Any questions about Twitter? All right. The next is not necessarily social media, right? People don't engage the same way on YouTube, but it is really, really important. And these are videos. YouTube gets such high engagement. Videos are literally the highest engaged with type of media out there. So people are more likely to share a video than they are just an image. And if it's created well and put together well, you can see a lot of volume on that as well. It's, across the entire internet. But YouTube is great because you have the opportunity to do a couple of different things from a paid advertising standpoint. You can do what's called pre-rolls, and that is a video clip that is at the beginning of something that somebody's going to watch. So have you ever engaged with YouTube where you go out and you're looking for me, I just did it today. I was looking for how to use my Cricut Maker to write custom lettering on envelopes. And the first ad before I could watch my video was another Cricut Maker. So it was relevant. So you can use paid advertising to get your business and your videos in front of people who may never have heard of you before. And you can really target kind of like you can on Facebook too, because there's so much data out there. The other thing that you can do is use this to, really educate and inform. A lot of people are doing the how-to videos. And if your business comes up in a how-to video, that's great for your SEO. So again, all of these social platforms, the more keyword relevant stuff that you're putting into your content organically and naturally, the more it's going to help your organic SEO across the board, right? Because again, if somebody is going out there to YouTube and they're looking specifically for something, they have a problem they're looking to have solved, you want to, as your business, product, or service, dominate the search engine results page whenever they're looking for that, if it's relevant, right? So you want to potentially be in the map section, you want to be in the organic section, but in the organic section, you want it to be a combination of your website plus some of your social media websites, plus some of your reviews, maybe on Yelp or Google, right? So the more that we have you on all of these different platforms with the same types of keywords, the more you can drive that organic SEO across the board. And I think that for YouTube, it's definitely all ages. Everybody's really using it. I mean, a lot of times we end up on YouTube without even realizing it because video is so popular and it's linked to Google. Google owns it. So the more that you have out there, the more Google will reward you by sharing your information accurately. Any questions on YouTube? Excellent. All right.
I have it
I'm
Could
sorry.
I ask something?
Yeah.
on mute.
Is it
start my-
fairly easy to make a YouTube video? I've never done it. I'm just for a layman.
If you have a cell phone and
Yeah.
a tripod, you can make a video.
Literally, YouTube lets you put pretty much any video you want up there, no matter how it's made. So you don't feel like you have to only be putting really finessed professional videos out there. Some people are doing tips and tricks and tutorials just from, like she said, their cell phone, right? So I can take a video of myself on my mobile device, and there's tools where you can go in and you can actually splice it and you can edit it and lay text over it. I use the app called Splice. I literally use it straight from my phone. I can put clips together. It's so easy. I think there's a free version of it, but I think I paid $5 and have all the bells and whistles for it. But you can upload any video that you've created to your channel. And
And
it is
it's called Slice.
Splice, 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 the app.
I was
Yeah.
wondering, Erica, is there if you're going to make videos with your phone,
Mhm.
is there a minimum set of equipment you think a person would need to make a good quality? I am pretty good at holding a DSLR camera steady, but with this thing, no
Yeah.
way.
Oh, I
It's
hear
just
ya.
moving all over the place.
Yeah, I think a tripod is tremendously helpful and valuable, but I have also, and I have the Apple, I guess I don't know where my watch is. I have the Apple Watch most days where I can set my phone up where I want it. I can kind of position it. And I like to use this camera because it just offers a little bit more like the actual camera instead of the selfie camera when you're creating videos. So you can set it up and then I can start the recording from my watch. I can end the recording from my watch. So I've literally just like leaned it up against something, positioned myself, taken a couple pictures to figure out like the right positioning, and then you can just go from there. But one thing that's really important is to know the format that's preferred by YouTube is usually the horizontal format like this.
Right.
So most people want to go in, it's just kind of instinctual to start your filming like this in this format where it's vertical from top to bottom. But think of your monitors, think of your television screens. They are like this. And so YouTube wants your videos to be like this. Otherwise it creates the two black bars on the side. It's just not as visually pleasing and you don't have as much space to work with either. So always take your videos if you can in this format, in the landscape format.
And I found a really not cheap, but it wasn't expensive. I found a cheap tripod,
Yeah.
like a selfie stick, and a lot of these selfie sticks come like a tripod,
They
and
do, yeah.
and it doesn't cost that much. And
Yeah. I think my selfie stick came with a tripod and like a little clip. So I could like clip my phone to my, to a table or to something that was a chair or whatever. But yeah, I definitely encourage you to make videos. Don't feel like they have to be perfectly polished. If you go out on YouTube, most of them really aren't, unless you're spending a lot of time and money. But video is very, very valuable. So if you have the ability, it will be probably one of your best converting types of media, right? So it's the best way to get your information out there as quickly as possible and get people to engage with it. But it doesn't have to be perfect. People like to see real humans, especially now. I think we're getting very, very used to that in this in this digital space, at least.
Yeah,
I just don't know, like if I want to make a video of making something,
Mhm.
it takes a while, and I know for myself, if it takes too long, I lose interest. If it's, you slice a potato and then that could take forever. I don't know how to speed it up.
That's a really good question. And that comes into video strategy. Like what are you making? What is the purpose of it? What do you want the expected outcome to be for the video? And then once you know what that is, then you can kind of mix and match. But do you use TikTok at all, Jasmine?
I don't want to use TikTok. No.
That's totally fine. I was in exactly the same boat at the beginning of this year. But at this point, it's changed my life. I've learned so much from it. But one of the things that I really like about it is that it's short videos. So it's either 15 seconds, 30 seconds, or 1 minute. There's nothing longer than a minute. So I think that if you wanted to go out there and just look, you can actually search for things that are relevant to you, see how they're making videos, because they get really creative in that short space where you can keep people's attention. And sometimes they do cute little transitions, like a before, and then they snap, and then like the next frame is like the finished product or whatever. So there's a ton of artists, there's a ton of recipes, there's people that are doing these incredibly elaborate projects, but they're condensing it to that short period of time that keeps people's attention really well. And you can do all of that using a tool like Splice. I mean, if you want to be creating videos and publishing them without a ton of headache and effort, I literally had a friend over here the other day, and we sat and I took maybe 10 different short little 25 to 30-second video clips of her doing testimonials. And then I stitched them together in the Splice app. And it took me less than an hour total to get a perfectly, like, it looks really good kind of video made with text on it, with music on it, with transitions. It's just a really easy tool. So I think that if you played around with it a little bit, and again, I love TikTok because it's not what it used to be. It's a very, very curated content towards my styles and preferences. The more you engage with it, the more their algorithm gives you what you want. And there's stuff out there that you would never think is out there. The other day, I actually stumbled across a whole series of videos. This guy, all he does is take cast iron pans and restore them by submerging them in water and using electricity. And it's weird. It's very, very niche, right? So if you have something niche, it's a really cool space to get out there in front of others. I think it could be really, really cool for photography. There's a lot of cool stuff out there. There's just so many ways to use it. It could be fun to engage with, but you don't have to. I definitely understand. I didn't think that I would be so in love with TikTok, but after COVID and the stuff that I've learned from it and just how I engage with it, it's completely replaced Facebook for me. Don't tell my boss I said that, because my job is Facebook almost. All right, so our last social media platform, this is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is very, very much business to business. So Greg, this is something that I would imagine that you would be really successful with in leveraging your LinkedIn. So you have a personal page, a personal profile on your LinkedIn, and it's kind of like a resume. It's your skills, it's people who recommend you, it's your past experience. But then you also create a business page for your business, and that's where you'll post anything that's business related: news, events, special offers, deals, blogs. It's not as social and playful as the Facebook or the Instagram. You definitely want to think of it as a business space, a business platform, but you can do some really, really great things out there. LinkedIn is great for learning about other people in your industry. It's great for hiring, for recruiting. It's great for doing, searching businesses that you could work with. I'm sure that you could find a ton of different businesses out there that need the docu-shredding, right? So making those connections with individuals in those businesses using LinkedIn becomes really easy. You can also use it with paid advertising. Bigger companies, it's kind of expensive for LinkedIn, really. Bigger companies will use it, especially to do recruiting, to get the right types of people. But this is where, you know, individuals will go if they are trying to engage in business. It's much less, you know, playful kind of social atmosphere. But like the others, you can create posts, you can add your blogs, you can link out to your website, but you do want to be pretty active. And, you know, it really becomes a combination of using all of these different platforms together to reach your target audience, because we all engage with the internet in different ways. We all search differently. We all use these platforms very, very differently. So as a business, it's helpful to be in all of the areas and using the best practices to that specific platform. So when I create a social media strategy, if I wanted to post content 3 to 4 times a week on all of these different platforms, it sounds like a lot of work. It sounds like a lot to pull together. However, if you create it, you can start with one post. I always start with Instagram, because that's really where the aesthetics are, my hashtag strategy is, and it'll help me create my keyword strategy for it. But I'll start with Instagram. I'll write the copy for it. I'll find the image for it. And then I'll just slightly tweak it and modify it for Facebook. And then I'll tweak it just a little bit more for Google My Business, you know, taking out hashtags, taking out emojis. And then I'll tweak it a little bit more for LinkedIn. So I'm taking one content post and then just slightly repurposing it for all of the other platforms in a little bit of a different way to make it more relevant and make sure that it's hitting the right target audience. But it's best to be in all of the different platforms, really. And if you're putting the same types of keywords and content out there, again, your organic SEO, your website itself, your social profiles will start to appear a lot more in those basic Google, Yahoo, and Bing searches.
I have a question about Google My Business.
Yes.
I really love it. I haven't gotten any order yet, but I like using it.
Good.
But one problem, I've made some short videos,
Mhm.
and they said no, they took the videos off.
Okay. Did they tell you why?
No. It just said that something was wrong with it, but it's about stones. So there was nothing that's bad or anything. And that happened to 2 or 3 videos, so I haven't posted any more videos to Google My Business.
That's interesting. I would love to see what those videos look like and kind of the copy that you put with them too, because that can have an impact on whether or not they let it stay out there. I don't hear about them taking much stuff down, but we can kind of dig in and look and see if we can find the guidelines and figure out why that's happening and prevent it in the future. Because you should, especially, I mean, you should be able to post your videos out there. Sometimes they don't want, you know, really long videos, like you're not going to put a 2-hour movie out there, right?
No, it was, they said a minute, so I tried to keep it under a minute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can absolutely take a look at that offline and see if we can't diagnose that for sure. Google can be challenging at times. I'm very, very lucky that Vivial is a Google Premier partner. We basically have a direct phone line to them when we need them, because there are times when problems come up and you know, some people can't figure out how to get things done on there. So if you do ever have problems with Google or Facebook or any of them, let me know. I'm a really great resource. I can try and connect you. I can try and answer those questions, try and solve that problem. Or I have people on my team that can definitely get us a little bit deeper if we need to as well. All right, so we're obviously much closer to 2021, and the social trends have not necessarily changed a lot. But what I'm really, really seeing and what's starting to happen is people are engaging a lot more in groups. And I think that this is coming from people looking for community, right? Everything has changed in our world. People aren't engaging in person the same way. So one of the major trends that I'm seeing are Facebook groups growing. A business can now own and manage and be participating in a Facebook group, which wasn't possible before. So as your business, you can create a group of, I don't know, other photographers that, you know, like the same types of things and get feedback and information from them. Or, you know, people who are in a specific area, very, very niche things. People are engaging more with groups than in their traditional Facebook feed because it's more controlled and it's more topical and it's more relevant. I, for example, am part of the Colorado Plant Pals. I love plants. I love looking at plants. I love the weird things that plant people do. So I actively engage in Colorado Plant Pals all the time. I have a really finicky, super fussy, fiddly fig, and I can't figure out what's going on with it. I can go out to my group of people and ask questions and help. One of the other things that it's actually helped me with too is I'm in part of some very niche groups like Colorado Girl Gang, right? Obviously it's all girls, Colorado based, but people go out there and they ask for help. They ask for tips and tricks. They're just trying to get in front of their community. So I've seen a lot of people post things like, hey, I need help with my Facebook advertising. Does anybody know how to do that? I can raise my hand, I can leave a comment. I've gotten so much business participating in groups that it's crazy, right? So people will ask for stuff out there. Again, they might be going to Google to start a search, but a lot of people are leveraging their communities to look for that as well. So if you can find niche types of groups or relevant types of groups to get your business participating in or yourself as an individual, you can really grow your business by being present and engaging in those groups. Most of the platforms, especially Facebook, especially Instagram, one of the best ways to grow your online presence is to just actively engage, be genuine, be social. That's the whole point of it out there. Share what people are looking for in your target audience. Try not to overextend. You know, if you have something and you don't know what your target audience is for your product or service, let's take a step back and really try and look at that. Because if you know who you need to talk to online, it becomes much, much easier to create your content, to create your strategy, to start from scratch and, you know, build those posts out. If I know that I'm going to be talking to Susan, who has 3 cats and is divorced, but recently relocated to the west side of town, that's a persona. I can have a very specific targeted message with targeted advertising to have those direct relationship building conversations with Susan in the social platforms. So it is really about genuinely engaging, being active, being consistent, and being relevant on all of these different platforms. Just be true to your brand too, and true to really responding to your customers. The other really high level thing that all of these platforms can help with, specifically Google My Business and Facebook, and I think LinkedIn is pretty good at it too, are recommendations and reviews. The more reviews that you have on Google My Business, the more likely other people are to do business with you, and the more likely Google is to promote your business in the search engine results, especially on maps. Usually businesses have to hit about 5 reviews in order to be seen really frequently. So if you don't have at least 5 reviews on your Google My Business, that could be a really great goal for you to try and hit as soon as possible, just so that you can get more visibility that way.
Can I ask you a question about reviews?
Yes.
I want to get your take because I know you're an expert. So you are not, there's no BS with you. You tell it like it is.
That's true. That's very true.
So if you go to a group of like, you know, a group, like a networking group, and you say, I need more Google reviews, and then a bunch of people go to your site and just overload you with, you get like 20 all at once. Is that, and I've heard from others that do what you do, that's considered like spam, and it's frowned on. Is that the truth?
Not necessarily. So Google definitely wants to see you regularly getting reviews. Consumers want to see you regularly getting reviews, but it's important that it's relevant too. And if you are, and I think that I've even told you this before too, if you need to get those reviews and you think that it's valuable, kind of coach people on how to leave those reviews for you so that it makes sense and is still relevant. If you have 30 people that go out and just hit the 5-star but don't leave a comment, that kind of looks a little bit suspicious. And I have seen Google take some of those down before. It's not really common, but really, I mean, even if it's a brand new business and you've never worked with a real client before, you can ask your friends, your family, people in your networking groups, hey, can you please leave me a review that just talks about my character and how I am with customer service, or my knowledge and expertise in marketing? Can you leave me a review that talks about how I helped solve a problem with your Facebook page? Something like that, right? I mean, you guide them on how to leave that, but you definitely want to encourage your customers to be doing that regularly too. The other thing that would help ensure that they're not getting taken down is if you're responding to them. Right? So if you go out and actively respond, that's going to be very, very helpful. But as a business owner, you need to remember that businesses don't have emotions. So businesses don't get mad, people get mad. So if somebody leaves a terrible review for you, make sure that you are in, I am a business and I am going out to answer that or respond to that from a business standpoint, not an individual standpoint. Because as consumers, if we're out there and we're looking at these ratings and reviews, and let's just say that we see a crazy, terrible 1-star review, and they always start out with, if I could give less than 1 stars, I would, right? That's that's the traditional 1-star review. But if you see that out there, and then you see a business responding with, we don't agree, this is not what we saw in our, it's just kind of combative, that can really turn off a customer and keep them from doing business with you. So just make sure that as you're responding, you're doing it in the most professional way possible, trying to take the conversation offline. It's always good to just say, hey, we really want to hear your concerns. Please give me a call directly. I would love to solve this problem for you, because that helps overall everybody build more confidence in you. But yeah, reviews are critical.
And one more question.
Mhm.
On this page, you're going to have to tell me what ephemeral content is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's ephemeral. And that basically means short-lived. So these are the stories that disappear after 24 hours. So it's not permanent content. It doesn't live out there forever. You can't go and see it all the time, but people will actively engage with it. People will watch stories, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram. Really, the rest of them are more lasting content, but those are the two where stories come in. And it's that immediate, what's going on in my shop today, what's going on the roads today, with the weather today, stuff that's not going to be necessarily relevant a month or a year from now. All right. Any other questions? This is where we really get to open it up and kind of dig into anything else that you guys feel you would like to see. Let's just make sure that we kind of hit on everything here. Greg wanted to know how to reach out to people. That's really, social media is going to be a great way to get in front of them. When it comes to reaching out, I think that that's a little bit of a different strategy that's more sales related and not just marketing. But Google My Business is going to be a great place for you to get your content and information to start. And I think LinkedIn will be really good for you as well. LinkedIn's going to be one of the best places for you, Greg, to kind of reach out and find those new clients.
Can I ask you a question real quick on that?
Yeah.
It seems, as I sit through this presentation, I don't have the time nor probably the knowledge to be as active as you need to be on all this kind of stuff. It sounds like, for me at least, it's way more time consuming to do it correctly. And I think to do it incorrectly is more costly. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Here's the thing. 10 years ago, there was not a such thing as a full-time social media manager. Today, businesses hire full-time, like that's all they do is manage social media. So it can be very, very time consuming. However, if you did want to kind of segment it and make sure that you were just using minimal time, but getting the most results out of it for your business being B2B, I recommend having a really good website with some good SEO, having your Google My Business claimed and optimized, regular content going out there, and then LinkedIn. So I don't think that for your products and services that you necessarily need to be too much on Facebook. Yes, the individuals that work with you are going to be out there, but you're going to have better return and probably a little bit more patience using those other two.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, don't get overwhelmed. That's the thing. We try to do it all ourselves. I for one, I will not do my own books or accounting, right? That's just, I'm terrible at that. It would take me 3 times as long and I would make mistakes and have to spend more. It's kind of the same thing. I coach all of my clients to stick to your genius and do what really fuels your soul, because there's somebody out there who loves to do social media marketing that can do it for your business in a way that you might not ever have thought of. Like, you are the expert in your business, but being an expert in social media is knowing how to take your business and translate that conversation into all these different platforms at once.
And how do we get in contact with you?
There's that. And I know that Amira will take all these slides and send them out. Once the video is up online, I'll send those over to her. And if you are looking for, if you want to do an audit, have me just kind of run like a quick scan of your business and tell you what it looks like from a Google standpoint and a consumer standpoint, I have a link in here that you can use. It's just a Google form that I put together that asks a couple basic questions so I know where to go online to find your business. And then I can run that and just email it back to you. But if you have other questions, yeah, please definitely reach out to me. My email is ehawley@vivial.net. I'm very active on all my social profiles. I respond to text messages, phone calls. You can reach me on LinkedIn. Basically, however you want to engage with me that way.
And where are you located?
I actually live in the Bear Creek area.
Okay, so it's on the west side of town.
Yeah, my office is over in the tech center, but I haven't been there since March.
I'm in Arvada, so that's
Okay.
not too far.
Yeah, no, not at all. I actually know Amira and Stefan because I'm very active in the West Metro Chamber, which services all of Jeffco. I sit on the steering committee for their young professionals. And I'm a business connector, meaning if you want to meet people and talk to people in the chamber, I know who to contact or who to connect with you with. And I love the networking stuff. And Stefan and I were in the B2B leads group for a long time together. That was really great.
Okay. That was very helpful, and I'm probably going to contact you. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you,
love that
Erica.
stuff. Yeah, you're very welcome.
Thank you. That was wonderful, Erica. I do have one question if there's time. If, once it's set up and ready to go, however many social media outlets you choose to use, a person chooses to use, how much time a day do you think, should be blocked out to manage the social media if you must do it yourself in a limited manner?
Great question. So I have very little patience. I have ADHD. I don't like to create my own content. So I have a process for it. Number one, I sit down 1 day a month and I write all of my content and I separate it out. It maybe takes me an hour or 2 hours because I've kind of gotten it down. I know what types of things to post. Like, I've got a tips and tricks. I can come up with it really quickly on the fly. But what I like to do is get everything mapped out, get it all scheduled into place so that if I had to do it completely by myself, I could manage all of my social profiles in less than half an hour a day. I know it sounds crazy. I'm a social media manager. This is my expertise. I don't like being on social media. I don't like being on Facebook. I don't like using my device. I don't like being in front of my computer a lot. It's necessary. That's where I get a lot of my information. It's where all of my customers are. But if I can control my time in those areas, I'm going to be a lot happier as an individual doing stuff like this, like actually coaching and engaging. So I automate things. I create processes. I get really nerdy with the data, and I just am very consistent with scheduling. I don't want to have to deal with it once I've done it once either. So it just becomes kind of responding to notifications as they come in. And I actually have all of my social media notifications turned off. So I only go in once or twice a day when I know that I can go down the rabbit hole for half an hour if I need to.
That's a great strategy. Thank you.
Yeah, you got to learn to, for me, it's protecting my energy with all of this stuff, because there have been days where I'm like, I spent 8 hours on my phone today,
Right.
working, doing stuff, right? But it doesn't have to be like that.
It seems like it could be a whole second and third job if you weren't
Mhm.
really organized with
Yep.
it.
Yeah, exactly. So I've got spreadsheet upon spreadsheet. I've got, tips, tricks, tools, websites, services. I have all these different things to automate it and make it as easy as possible because it can be very overwhelming. There was a time where I would literally try and sit down every day and say, I'm going to create a social media post today. And it would take me an hour to find a topic, a photo, create the content, and then go publish it to all the platforms. Now I've learned, again, I can sit down in an hour or two and get 20 or 30 posts done because I've organized my categories, I've organized my keywords, I know what I want to accomplish
Right.
well in advance. I'm a planner, and
I
I
bet you do
I
that.
can help you with that too.
I bet you do that for your clients.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, and really, this is a blessing because of COVID. My business has transitioned from, I used to just sell and service the social media, SEO, and then Google AdWords, right? Now, because people have more time, they're at home, they're wanting to do more themselves, I've taken on a lot more of the coaching role. So I can sit down one-on-one with somebody for an hour and say, okay, let's get you organized. Let's figure out your strategy, what's going to work best for your business, your target audience. Here's a 30 questionnaire, 30 questions for you to answer for us to go in the right direction. And then we build a plan that kind of works for you and your business, because everybody's different. Again, we all engage with the internet differently. We all have very, very different needs, whether it's B2B, B2C. It's just so wildly different and broad. You got to know who you're talking to and the fastest way to do it, in my opinion.
Nice to meet everybody. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us today, guys. Again, I love doing this. I'm more than happy to help. So please reach out if you have questions afterwards.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. You
Thank
too.
you.
Oh, I gotta stop share.